Pardon me, everyone. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. Again, good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. Thank you for attending our discussion today on the development and experience with the use of voluntary customs codes and how they may be used to assist in monitoring imports and exports of mercury and non-mercury products. My name is Tom Grunewald of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and as Isaki mentioned, I also help to coordinate and manage the mercury and products area of the Global Mercury Partnership. I'll be moderating today for you today, so thank you for allowing me to do that. And through the course of the presentation or at the end, I will try to post some links in the chat box. As Isaku mentioned, for the final report today, the information document, the Secretariat's webpage, and as well the Global Mercury Partnership. I'll be posting those in the chat at some point. I just wanted to add, as far as questions go, it's our preference today that we actually please feel free to submit the questions in real time into the chat box, but we would prefer, as far as raising hands and opening the floor to live questions and answers, if we could hold that until the end of Peter's presentation. So thank you very much for that. And now I'd like to get us started. So I'm going to turn back to Isaku, who's with the Secretariat of the Minamata Convention. Isaku?
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for introducing me. I forgot to introduce myself when I did the opening or the practical information. So the reason why I think I'm start providing the opening remarks is that this session, this side event is very closely related, or it is for the sake of the COP 4.2 agenda item on the customs code. So I would like to provide a bit of background on the why the COP is discussing this and what is on the agenda of the COP 4.2, which that starts in 10 days on the 21st of March in Bali, Indonesia. So the custom codes is part of the agenda item 4A. 4A is on the products and processes, and this agenda item includes the review of Annex A and B and dental amalgam and the proposal for amending Annex A and B. So the customs code is one of this, and the document is available on the convention website. The document number is 4/27 customs codes. And the COP2 in 2018, I think, considered a proposal from a number of parties to develop a draft customs codes for the mercury-added products covered in Annex A in order to facilitate the implementation of Article 4 and improve national reporting and foster better communication among trading partners. The COP2 and COP3 considered this matter, and the COP3 took a decision named numbered MC3/3, which requested the Secretariat, in collaboration with the Global Mercury Partnership and involving relevant experts, to firstly draft a guidance document on the use of customs codes, which covers the 3 points. Number one, for the Annex A products, a list of possible customs codes of more than 6 digits. And the 6 digits and so on, I think Peter will explain to you what it means. For non-Annex A products that contain mercury, the COP requested us to provide examples of customs codes of more than 6 digits used by parties. And then, thirdly, the guidance document was supposed to include good practice to supplement the customs codes in controlling the trade in mercury-added products. Also, the COP requested the Secretariat to provide an assessment of whether the subsequent development of 6 digits harmonized codes would be a useful complement to the guidance document. So this is what the COP is going to discuss, and we submitted document COP4/27, supplemented by an information document, which is English only, which provides a bit of further examples. And if you look at the top, no, bottom left, the yellow square says that the comments and questions are encouraged to be submitted through the online technical document forum by 11th March and 2022. And the reason why we opened this technical document forum is that we really wish to have COP to agree on this technical, very important technical document. So we wanted to sort out any remaining technical issues before or the COP4. The document forum is open until the 11th of March, so tomorrow. So we very much look forward to questions and comments on this document. And with this, I'd like to hand back to Tom. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Isaku. Hello again, everybody. I just wanted to say that in addition, to my work with US EPA that focuses in part on mercury-added products and manufacturing processes, I also help to assist, as I said, in the coordination and management of the Mercury and Products Partnership area. And so I just want to say a few words about what we do. So our objective is to work to foster the reduction, phase out of the use of mercury in products, as well as the associated releases of mercury throughout the product life cycle. Our membership is currently 89 members. It's actually increased. I should update that, but who come from governments, non-governmental organizations, industry, and academic institutions. And we operate as a member-driven partnership. And one of our key priorities is to provide a platform to exchange information on the use of mercury in products, alternatives to those products, and approaches to help implement the Minamata Convention. Just wanted to mention that some recent highlights of our activities have included webinars that discuss the opportunities, challenges, and lessons reduce the use of mercury in medical devices, cosmetics, and lighting. And those were fairly successful. And as I said, I'll be posting some links if you're interested in going to those, see some of those resources later. But I don't want to take any more time. My job here is to moderate. So without further ado, I would like to turn things over to Peter Maxson, who, along with Isaku, have both been an integral part of this effort to investigate, better understand, and to develop guidance on the use of customs codes to monitor the import and export of mercury-added products. Peter?
Thank you, Tom. Is my audio okay?
Yes.
Coming through loud and clear.
Good day and good evening to all who are taking interest in this side event. My name is Peter Maxson. I'm the director of the Brussels-based consultancy Concord East West, and I focused most of my work on mercury-related issues for over 20 years. During that time, I've worked not only with UNEP and other UN agencies, but also with the US EPA, European Commission, a number of NGOs and others to better understand and manage mercury sources, global mercury trade, and mercury uses in products and processes. I'll start with some background information here on customs codes, followed by a mention of previous work by the Secretariat, and then an overview of the documents prepared for COP4. I apologize to participants who are already quite familiar with this area, but it doesn't hurt in many cases to review what the customs codes are for, how they work, and that sort of thing, because it hasn't been easy to spread the word in terms of the usefulness of these issues and getting countries to modify their customs codes to accommodate mercury-added products. In international trade, special identifying numbers, known as customs codes, have been required for a long time in shipping manifests for the purpose of regulating hazardous chemicals, for example, for placing tariffs on certain goods, for tracking economic and trade data, etc. They can also be used to identify the mercury-added products in Annex A of the convention that are scheduled to be phased out. Until recently, there were very few customs codes in use specifically to identify mercury-added products, but as such codes are developed and more widely used, they will facilitate the implementation of Article 4 of the Convention, which places restrictions on mercury-added products. They will improve national reporting under Article 21, and they will improve communication among parties with regard to international trade in these products. Next slide, please. Thank you. The harmonized system, or abbreviated as HS, managed by the World Customs Organization, is an internationally recognized system of numbered chapters, headings, and subheadings used to identify internationally traded goods. As in this diagram, up to the 6-digit level in yellow, the HS codes are harmonized and accepted by all participating countries. As mentioned in the diagram, there are currently 5,387 different commodities or groups of commodities identified by individual 6-digit HS codes. With approval of the World Customs Organization, countries are free to build on, without approval of the WCO, countries are free to build on these HS codes to create further subheadings of more than 6 digits to more precisely identify certain products, especially for purposes of tariffs and trade statistics. So you can see at the bottom of the diagram, beyond 6 digits, we sometimes have 8, 9, 10, or even more digits for other purposes. Next slide, please. Here is a specific example of headings and subheadings that have been used for many years to identify clinical thermometers using 8 digits. But we know that not all clinical thermometers are mercury thermometers. Uruguay, for example, has added a further 10-digit subheading, shown here in red, so that traders are obliged to specifically identify the clinical thermometers that contain mercury. Next slide, please. To briefly provide some background, the report prepared previously for COP3 included an explanation of customs codes, a focus on Annex A products, the results of a survey among parties with follow-up research and consultation, and a range of possible approaches going forward. Next slide, please. In COP3 decision MC3-3, the COP requested the Secretariat, in collaboration with the Global Mercury Partnership, to draft the guidance document already mentioned by Asaku with these four main elements. A number of parties provided comments to the draft guidance document, which is now available as COP4/27, with annexes available in COP4 Inf/5. Next slide, please. Annex A mercury-added products generally fall under the product categories listed here. I won't read them all out in detail, but this helps us to identify among the HS codes where to find the specific products or groups of products we're looking for in order to further develop the codes as we need to identify mercury-added products. Although most of the products in Annex A are being phased out as a general matter, we may still wish to have customs codes for such products. These would be useful for parties that may have requested exemptions, for example, as well as non-parties that may be following the progress of the convention. Next slide, please. In the comments and submissions from parties, 8-digit tariff codes were provided in most cases. There were also a few 10-digit codes proposed or already in use for Annex A products. The full list of codes already in use by parties may be found in the INF document, and some examples are given here in use by Argentina and Mexico. Next slide, please. As requested by the COP4 decision, we developed customs codes for all Annex A products, using those suggested by parties where available. And beyond that, we used 10-digit codes, both for consistency and to minimize the need for parties to reconsider or modify their current 8-digit codes. The first column in this table shows the existing 8-digit codes used by some parties, and the second column shows proposed 10-digit codes for these products used as examples. In comments submitted, some parties noted that they already had different products using our proposed codes. Also, at least one party uses a 9-digit statistical system. These are examples of the sorts of details that we need to address in any follow-up work. Next slide, please. The COP4 decision also requested parties to submit customs codes for mercury-added products that are not listed in Annex A of the Convention. The submissions from parties and others cover this list of product categories for products not listed in Annex A. Again, I won't read them out. Many of the categories are similar, but the specific products may be ones, for example, under lamps that are not specifically covered under Annex A. Next slide, please. About half of the customs codes submitted by parties for products not listed in Annex A are 8-digit codes, and the others are 10-digit codes. Some examples, again, are provided in this slide as suggested by Uruguay and Mexico in this case. So here we see some 10-digit codes that are already in use for lamps. The next slide, please. As mentioned above, the COP4 decision asked for other measures that might supplement the use of 10-digit customs codes to restrict trade in certain mercury-added products. Some examples that were developed during our research include the following. Any country is free to create different codes than those proposed in our guidance, although harmonization with other countries is always preferable. Customs officials could target goods with 6-digit HS codes that include Annex A products as an early screening, and then request more detailed information from the importer or exporter on whether the goods are in fact mercury-added products restricted under Annex A. There was a presentation this morning, a side event on the global minimum transparency standard. This could require companies to disclose information on hazardous chemicals in products throughout the product life cycle. So again, this is the sort of initiative that could support the use of customs codes as we're talking about here. And though I forgot to include it in the slide, customs codes already in use in the European Union may be accompanied by information on the legal regime applicable to the product in question, which may assist the authorities to determine whether the import or export of mercury-added products is allowed. Next slide, please. Finally, the COP4 decision requested an assessment of the value of developing 6-digit HS codes specifically for mercury-added products. This had been done previously, for example, in support of the Montreal Protocol in order to help governments track trade in ozone-depleting substances. So while the idea has a lot of merit, there are advantages and disadvantages. Among the advantages are that as a 6-digit code, there would be automatic international harmonization by way of the World Customs Organization. And therefore, we would achieve more comprehensive and consistent data on whatever products are being identified. Disadvantages include the long and formal WCO approval process. Likewise, approval may not be granted for a specific product request if the overall volume of trade under that code is not large enough. And finally, in the event of future amendments to Annex A, which I suppose are likely, the approval process for new 6-digit codes would be just as long. So there would then be a long waiting process to implement these sorts of ideas. Next slide, please. Finishing here, this slide simply summarizes how each of the elements of the mandate from COP3 decision MC3/2 were addressed in the guidance document that has been provided as COP4/27. Final slide. Thank you very much. And for further information, our contact details are listed here.
Great, thank you very much, Peter. Now I will open the floor to questions, comments from attendees. Please feel free to raise your hand. It's the icon at the bottom of your screen. This is the bottom of my screen, in between the share button and the smiley face icon, or please type into the chat.
Just as a side comment, Tom, I think that people who are following this issue fairly closely have much of the information that they need at the moment. People who haven't been following so closely maybe have more questions than we care to admit.
I thought of a question, Peter. Perhaps you've covered it, but I was just wondering, there was a discussion of the challenges or the pros and cons, so to speak, of the automatic process, the WCO process for the adoption of the 6-digit custom codes. I was just wondering if through the course of your research, you had heard, I apologize, I have a co-presenter here today. I was wondering if you had heard or consistent challenges, opportunities, things voiced about the use of the more, like the 8 and 10-digit codes in your research.
I'm not sure I understand the question, Tom.
Sure. I apologize. Just, we talked about how there was flexibility with the 8 and 10-digit codes. People can customize them as much, and you mentioned some issues where ideally they would be harmonized. I'm just wondering if you heard feedback from the people that are already implementing their own country-specific 8, 9, 10-digit codes, if there were any challenges that you heard along the way, or opportunities that had presented themselves.
Yes. I think the main challenges that I've heard are discussions with customs officials and convincing them of the need for more specific codes than what they already have. So once they understand the objectives of the Minamata Convention and the requirement to better track trade in mercury-added products, then the challenges are much less. And most countries have a process of different agencies that meet together and occasionally suggest 8 or 10-digit codes, for example, for all kinds of reasons, mostly tariff and statistical reasons, and then implement them. I think the resistance to some extent from customs is adding some additional things that they're not familiar with, or having to control additional aspects of documents that they haven't been controlling before, whether they have the adequate manpower and that sort of thing. But apart from that, in general, once there's a good understanding of the need for the additional codes, there doesn't seem to be too much resistance.
Thank you. I do have, I'm going to combine the first two questions I have. We have kind of three, two of them seem to go together. So um, I hope I'm saying this right. I apologize if I'm not. So the first comes from Florian, augmented by Isaku. So the question is, are there HS codes for dental amalgam to track trade in dental amalgam? And kind of reframing that, is it also possible that people refer to it not necessarily as amalgam, but it gets referred to or considered as dental material, not the exact same use of nomenclature? Thoughts on
Tom,
that?
may I supplement? Because my second question was
Sorry.
only to the panelists, and the audience doesn't see my question. So yeah, and as I was writing this, we got a question from Florian. So thank you for this very good and important question. And as if you see the document, the document proposes uh, the customs codes for the dental amalgam under amalgam, and I think amalgam is 2843 something, and then the document proposes a statistical suffix or something uh, for dental amalgam, but um, uh, as I was trying to track the trade in dental amalgam, I felt that some traders may report the export and import of dental amalgam as dental device or something in other categories or chapter or whatever. So I just wanted to rely on your on the expertise and experience of Peter on what in practice what's happening in practice.
It's it's a somewhat complicated question. There is a generally recognized code that should be used for dental amalgam, but as you say, there is another code for amalgams that has been used relatively frequently, even for dental products. So we found dental amalgams in both categories. And part of the problem is that even in either of the categories, it's not possible to determine how much is really dental amalgam and how much may be other types of amalgam or even miscoded sorts of things. And there's an interesting example. I had access to, at a certain point, to customs data from India, and I was looking specifically for amalgam. And I found 5 different customs codes that were regularly being used for what could have been called dental amalgam or other sorts of amalgam, which is always, by definition, a mercury-based combination. And some of the amalgam, interestingly enough, was zinc mercury pellets that are used for fluorescent lamps instead of elemental mercury. And so I suppose the lesson there was that even though we think in many cases we have something that's fairly well defined and we should be able to look in certain statistics to find the information we want, we always have to be aware that there could be other things going on that don't permit us as easily to have the information we're looking for. So that's, frankly, that's part of the challenge in identifying quantities of different mercury-added products that are being used and looking at trends through time to see if we're using fewer or more of certain products.
Great, thank you, Peter. I'd like to turn, we do have a second question. Excuse me. And I'll just read it out. This is from Annalisa. Hope I said that correctly. It says, have there been any discussions with WCO about reviewing their approval process? For example, a more efficient or fast-tracked process so that approvals can keep pace with the needs of the convention?
Yeah, I think I can take up this question first, because uh, yes, WCO did participate in COP3, and I haven't looked into the COP4 or participants, and I doubt that they participate because of the COVID restrictions and so on. But they were at COP3, and we did uh, we have a communication channel. We haven't discussed any fast track arrangement. I'm not sure whether that kind of things exist for example, their interactions between WCO and Basel Convention Secretariat and COP on the waste the customs cost on waste, and they're proposing the cost of plastic waste and so on and so forth, and also their discussion with the on the Montreal Protocol and so on. So these I I do not think they have any fast track arrangements for this. They have a cycle of revising the 60 digit code, and they have deadlines, and what we have been advised is that if we propose anything for the 6 digit HS code, we need to submit proposal by this date. But perhaps Peter may have some experience, but this is as far as I understand. Thank you.
I was just going to say that in the document we prepared for COP3, we summarized briefly that WCO approval process. And the problem there is that when you have, what, 160, 180 member countries that are participating in that process, and they all need to implement the same code for certain products, you can imagine that the approval process is not easy and requires an initial commission to investigate the request, and then their decision, and that goes back to another organization, and then finally delegates of the different participants actually vote to approve or not. And so it's yeah, it's a difficult process. It's as a result difficult to imagine reducing that reducing the time required very much.
Thank you, Peter. So just a reminder, please let us know. Again, feel free to type into the chat if you have any questions or to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any raised hands. Let's give it a few minutes.
Saku, you mentioned the deadline for comments to these COP4 documents, right? Which at this point is tomorrow. Is there any extension of that, or is that a fairly firm deadline?
Thanks, Peter, for raising that, and of course we wish to move with the agreed deadlines, but the process for the proposing questions is limited to parties, and the parties need to go through the national the head of the delegation. So perhaps if the any of you have any question, I think it is a bit challenging to pass it through the national focal points and to the secretariat by tomorrow's deadline. But of course, we hope to have a good document, better document that serves the parties' implementation. So if you have any question, you can you can uh, send any question or comments any time, and if it comes too late, then it may not, we may not be able to raise it at COP. But the secretariat is tasked with providing the best the best document. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send it. You can put it in chat, or you can just send it to the secretariat. My email address is aisaku.oda@un.org. So you can just send any comments. Thank you.
In fact, Zaku, I recall we had some comments that came a bit late for the current documents. So those already we can make an effort to include in the discussion.
Thank you. I think we can we can discuss that offline. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start posting links as I mentioned, but please, I'll be watching to see if any more comments come in. So just give me a few moments, folks. All right, I'm going to check. Oh, thanks, Aisaku. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. I'll give it one final call. Okay. Looks like that's it. So thanks, everyone. Aisaku, would you like to say anything, or should I wrap up?
Well, nothing particular, but yeah, just warm thanks to the participants, and also of course to you and Peter for contributing to this document. And I very much look forward to the discussion at COP4, and I really wish this document to be agreed by COP4. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisaku. Peter, any last words to leave us with?
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, great. I did see, I will defer to Sharifal on this. I wanted to make sure that I get this right. There's a final question, is whether this recording is going to be shared, and I think the answer is yes. It's being recorded, and we will, I don't know exactly what will be posted. Aisaku, can you comment?
Yeah, the presentation recording will be posted on the convention website and COP4 side events, and all the side events are being uploaded.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure today. I hope that you found this conversation to be fruitful and informing. Once again, thank you so much to Aisaku and Peter for their work past several years on this project. And thank you for Sharifal and Richard and Pablo for their support in helping put on this event. It was very helpful. I appreciated the support, and I'll leave with that. Have a good day and good evening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.